you know what, this is going to sound weird. I'm like, I'm not looking for promotion in the next year, which might sound like counterintuitive to what I do, but I'm like, my job is just so much different than anything I'm used to that I think I have a lot to learn in this position. I think I've done a really good job so far, but there's so much more that I can achieve in this role that I haven't, like, I've only just scratched the surface of
That's cool.
what I can do here.
Welcome to another episode of the Growth League podcast, where we tap into the unique experiences and perspectives of different marketing leaders across various industries. I have the privilege of speaking to my guest today, Ivana Simovic, who is the head of Lifecycle marketing at Tiny Beans. Tiny Beans is a private photo sharing app for families that want to stay connected in a less public setting. Tiny Beans also inspires parents to create, learn, and grow via the hundreds of articles published on their site every month. Ivana, in her current role, ties together all aspects of Lifecycle across all teams. And that means, transactional emails from their app, driving app subscription growth via email, push and in-app notifications, editorial newsletters to support their content team, and providing direction and guidance to their sales team, working with great partners like Disney and Microsoft, to name a couple. That's awesome. I'm a dad of a 4-year-old daughter and a new dad in about 2 weeks to another daughter. And so I think I might tap into some of those articles. Ivana, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. This is awesome. That was a really great intro too. Thank you.
I got the pronunciation right and everything.
You got everything. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the chat. Even before we jump into it, maybe give us a bit of an understanding about your journey as a marketer and a marketing leader, and what fascinated you or intrigued you about the opportunity at Tiny Beans. Why are you there now?
Yeah. So I found myself in an interesting position about a year ago. It's almost a year since I've joined the team, where I was in the position looking for a new role or a change in careers, and had reached out to an old boss of mine, and I just really enjoyed working with her. She did a really great job of fostering my career growth. I trust her. She challenges me. How do I say it? We work well together, but we challenge each other. I'm not a yes man. She's not a yes man. And it's just a really nice balance of how we work together. She appreciates when I come back with like a challenge to one of her questions or her goals or her ideas, and it just works really well. And so she was at Tiny Beans, and we just sort of got to talking and found that it was a good role for me here. Yeah.
What's keeping you there? Is it like a mission thing? Is it the nature of the work? Is it the team? I'm curious about that.
It's a bunch of things. So I'm namely like looking at the app, and especially the way that I guess the internet and the world itself is going. I'm really keen on the privacy part of the world. I'll be honest, ChatGPT terrifies me.
It shouldn't. We'll have a conversation about that.
It's a very strong tool, but I just think it has the potential to it's strong, but it can be dangerous, I think.
Sure.
That being said, so I really respect and appreciate the privacy aspect of the app. It's funny because like I wouldn't be someone you would think would be prime for Tiny Beans. I'm not a parent. I am one of those. I'm fine. I'm a pet parent. That's what my place in this world is.
Sure.
But it's just there were a couple of things. One, the opportunity to work for a company that really appreciates human beings. I had really been put through the grind in like e-com startups, and coming out of a really crazy few years from 2020 to 2022. I just wanted a place where I can very clearly define some boundaries, where I work really hard, but I'm able to relax a little bit on the weekends and not feel like I'm constantly on call. They treat their employees well, and it was a place where I had an opportunity to really grow in my role, which has already happened. Like when I initially started at Tiny Beans, I was just responsible. It was only me, team of one, responsible for growing our subscribers
Yeah.
within the app. And within my first 6 months there, I was able to show my leadership skills, and my role has then expanded into working closely with the content team, working closely with our sales team. I've hired people for my team. I'm hoping to hire more because I've put in an ask for our next fiscal year.
There you go.
So like I'm seeing the proof of what they promised me, which is definitely what's keeping me there.
That's awesome. And
Mhm.
being able to grow as a marketer, but also grow with the organization and have
Totally.
recommendations actually get heard and implemented. That's cool.
Totally. And the app side of the world is totally new to me. I've been in ecom for a very long time. This is really interesting. There's a lot that I'm learning here
Yeah.
for sure.
I don't, with all that good news and those positive comments, I want to go quickly this way, which is like as a marketing leader in this new role, you're now situated there, you've got some momentum, you got a team, what's the biggest thing that keeps you and your team up at night? What's the biggest challenge you face right now?
Um, Learning how to grow when your budgets are really small. That is, I think, the most challenging part for us is um, just, with things like the recession and um, us trying to find the right fit for some roles on our team. Our acquisition budget hasn't been what I would love it to be. And so it forces us to get creative, and especially my team to get creative with the people we do have, to work a little harder to convert more people than I think would be expected if we were filling top of funnel at like,
Sure.
um, with like if we were filling top of funnel a little bit
Yeah.
more heavily. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a topic that, a ton of marketing teams are burdened by. Obviously, as you alluded to, it creates resourcefulness and creativity. I mean, I think sometimes it can get pretty lazy when there's endless amounts of budget available to you. So,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about the structure of your team. And you mentioned you hired a couple people. What does that look like now?
Yeah, so my team focuses on three different channels. So we have lifecycle, acquisition, and affiliate.
Okay.
So I report into, oh my God, Chief Growth Officer.
Yeah.
Chief Growth, yes, not revenue. Chief Growth, and then there is me and my team. So we have Justine on my team who works really closely with me. Then we have our affiliate side, which includes a shopping editor. So
Yeah.
this kind of filters into our content side of the business. Um, so the shopping editor works closely with the editorial team to support the affiliate side of the business. She's basically like, if you think about like, like the BuzzFeed shopping articles, it's just like
Sure.
lists of things to buy, um, content that you can shop from. Um, and then we have a new person who joined our team a few weeks ago who does our app store optimization and like top of funnel stuff. So
Cool.
it's a really small and mighty team.
Yeah.
Where from everyone that I know, I've actually never met anyone on my team because we are all over
Oh,
North America. But from what I can tell, we're pretty scrappy. We come from a pretty scrappy background that, we like really hustle hard and we're really creative with how we tackle our problems.
yeah. No, that's great. Um, what would you say as it relates to a marketer, but more importantly, not more importantly, but separately, a marketing leader? What would you say your superpower is? What's your cape that you bring to the job?
um, okay, here's the thing. We're gonna like unpack some, I guess, like trauma here.
Let's go
I
for it.
am a people pleaser at heart. And I think what comes along with being a people pleaser is you just want to solve problems because you want everyone to be happy. And so
Yeah.
I'm really good at solving problems, either like they just come very easily to me. This is going to sound like I'm stroking my ego, and maybe I am, but like
That's what it's meant to do.
I find that when I'm working with people, they're like, oh my God, you're really smart. You're really good at your job. And I'm like, what? Like
Mm,
this is just second, like this is natural to me. I'm not even trying right now, guys. I think I'm really good at solving problems and just connecting with people. Um here I am second guessing myself. I'm like, am I
No.
connecting with you? But yeah, I think I can make a really strong connection with people. I think I make people feel safe with me, which I just think when you're vulnerable with the people you work with, it just opens you up to doing your best work, because you can
Yeah.
tell when people are very guarded, they just don't feel safe, and the problem they're trying to solve is how to keep myself safe.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And I guess you see that as part of your responsibility as a leader is to create safety and a place of vulnerability so that those ideas can start coming and those, that's really cool. You should own that. You
yeah, right.
know,
I'm
what
working on that.
what's an area, well, this might be a funny follow-up, but what's an area that you are actively and consistently looking for support from others on? Like, what would you claim to be a weakness?
Yeah. There's a thing I'm really working on is trying to influence people. Um, my problem is I have no problem being very direct in saying no, and here's why, or no, but here's what we should do instead. However, when I get pushback a second time, then I'm like, oh God, I can't say no a second time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm working on actively like influencing decisions without being manipulative, in a way that is like a nice compromise for everyone, listening to other people, but not backing down once I get that second no.
Okay, no, that's good. You talk about the team a little bit. Have you ever had experience, whether it be, in the past at other organizations or currently at Tiny Beans, working with external partners? And what's your approach or playbook on getting the most out of that
Y-
relationship, if you have?
Yeah, so just to make sure that I'm clear on this, like say for example, if it's like a vendor that I'm working with or things like
Exactly.
that. Got it.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's a bit of a two-way street, I find. So because I think I'm strong at connecting with people, usually with whichever rep I'm working with, we usually have a good connection, and I try to take full advantage of, say our weekly, biweekly, monthly meetings. um I hold true to them. Similar, like I kind of treat it like one-on-ones with my team members. I don't cancel. I always have an agenda. And I try to treat it like a mutually like respectful relationship.
Yeah.
I give you a little, you give me a little. And what I usually tell when I'm introducing or starting off a relationship is, I want to make you look good in your job. If you want to speak at a conference about something we do, I'm willing to be your guinea pig. So like, let's do it. I want to know what's new.
Mm,
I want to know what other people are doing, what has worked, what hasn't worked. Let me like, because I'm in a position usually at most of the companies I've worked at over the past 3 years where we're looking for quick wins. We're we could play a little bit more with like a high risk situation to test out the waters on some things that, some features that they're testing. Um, so I'm in a position to be able to do that. Whereas if I was working at a larger company, you have to jump through more hoops to get things like that
yeah.
done. So usually I find if I
Yeah.
just say, I want to make you look good, let's figure out how to
That's
do that.
awesome. That's a great
Um,
approach. I mean, it's kind of that service mindset, right? And
mhm.
hopefully it's reciprocated as well. But
Yeah,
if you initiate those types of ways of working in that foundation of relationship, I'd imagine oftentimes it comes back in the same way.
totally.
You referenced, kind of putting a bid in for the new fiscal. A topic that comes up a lot is, how do marketing leaders establish their approach for uh, asking for budget or defending against a budget already requested? And you don't have to get into details specifically at
Yeah.
Tiny Beans, but what's your playbook just generally on uh, building the case for budget?
God, okay, maybe this actually should have been my answer to your question about what I'm actively working on, which is asking for money.
Mm.
Um,
Just
I
because as kids we were told it's rude to ask for money, right? So it's just
exactly.
natural.
Um, and my dad always taught me, he's like, if someone offers you money, you never say no. That it's rude to say no, but it's also rude to ask. So I'm just waiting for people to give it to me and be surprised they're not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that being said, Lifecycle usually actually never really has much of a budget aside from, at least in my experience. Um, people don't want to put additional like advertising dollars behind repeat customers, because they're like, well, at this point you have things that we're already paying for, like your SMS marketing channels, your email marketing channels, to convert them again. Not taking into account that like people can unsubscribe from those things, and seems like a waste to not try to
Yeah.
get them back with paid dollars, but that's fine. Anyway, so I oh God, I think I just get like really crafty, because here's the thing, they're not going to give me I've never been in a situation where they're like, okay, let's find you some additional dollars.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I've bartered a bit with my internal teams, where like I've given a bit of my budget away to affiliate for a bit, and like, can I get a couple thousand back? I want to test out something.
Right.
That happened recently, where I just pitched that to our team, because I was like, I want to try something to see if we can just improve our acquisition numbers a little bit. Give me a few $1,000s for a couple months and let me prove XYZ.
Yeah.
I'll outline like, here's the problem I'm trying to solve. Here are the metrics I'm trying to move. Here are the benchmarks of where they're at right now. So I'm looking for this percentage of lift to determine if this is worth it or not.
Yeah.
And then I usually won't try to, I guess my approach is I don't want to make it permanent in case it doesn't work, i.e. I don't want like the board or the executive team to like see that I've asked for this money and then wasted it if the test failed.
Sure.
Uh,
But I
I like
think a test-based approach is a great way to do it. Start with a business case or a hypothesis that you want to confirm or deny. And, I think that having the ability to go through that test and prove that hypothesis, but then on the heels of it, if it worked, you're rightfully positioned to ask for the budget, right?
exactly.
So that's cool. Very challenging, but cool. I can imagine. So talk about a little bit about Lifecycle. You talked about, because let me digress here. The way to generate revenue for any company is there's three ways, right? Get people to buy more often, and get people to buy higher transaction sizes each time. But getting people to buy more often represents a majority of the overall customer lifetime value. So how do you look at the role of lifecycle marketing, how critical it is as compared to new acquisition?
For sure. So on our side of things, it's like a little bit different, right? Because for the most part, we're pushing people to, there's actually a couple of ways that we make money at Tiny Beans, right? So if you subscribe to the app, if you become an app user, you could be a free user. We monetize you through ads in the app, ads on the site, ads via email. You can become a paid user, in which we don't monetize you through advertisements. That's part of like, I guess, one of the benefits of paying for the app.
Yeah.
But we're making money through you subscribing. Additionally, we have our affiliate channels that are doing that. And then like on our site, we'll have like, just as like any publishing site, there's ads all over the place. On my side of things, what I'm trying to, I don't know if course correct is the word I want to use here, but I'm going to go for it, is we did such a great job of monetizing that it seemed like a bit of a one-way relationship. So right now, what I'm trying to do is like, we have like the wheels in motion that are pretty strong on how we make money. But is the value there? Are people sticking around long enough? That's what I'm trying to course correct for. So I'm trying to just increase the value of our product and what we offer. So we're doing things like, at the core of what we do, we're just like, it's families. It's all about families.
Right.
And we could, and we're working on doing a better job to service families, making it easier for families to connect. Meaning, like, we're visiting, like, what do our notifications look like when someone is doing something in the app? Can we make those look a bit better? Can we make it easier for someone to comment or like a
Right.
photo that a family member posts? Can we do a better job of how we present the content that's on our site? A lot of people, like for a long time, Tiny Beans was two separate entities. The content side was a company that we had acquired a few years ago, and we sort of like operated as two different silos. So we're trying to bridge that gap a little bit and incorporate content into the app, but then also introduce content via emails, via push to our users.
Right.
So yeah, just like we just want to arm them with as much information as possible, make their relationships with family stronger, and build trust with our app and the people behind the app, because it's very
Right.
easy with an app to not realize there's humans
Yeah.
behind the scenes actually trying to make this a really good experience for you.
Totally. No, that's cool. Thanks for sharing that. Um, how do you typically communicate with different departments or stakeholders internally and push the agenda of what you're trying to do versus uh, learn and acquire the focus of other groups? Like how does that weaving internally work for you?
Yeah, it's yeah, I'll be honest, it's a bit of a work in progress still.
Yep.
So um we work really closely with our content team because we churn out content every single day. We meet weekly to like take a look at metrics for our campaigns that have gone out, take a look like what articles are working, aren't working, what is doing a great job of driving traffic to our site. Um, they're really great at coming up with, honestly, I don't know how they do it because I couldn't be able to churn out the number of articles with the performance that they see on a
Yeah.
daily basis like they do. They're really, really good at figuring out what works and what our subscribers want to be reading. On the sales side, like meaning working with our sales team, um, I meet right now monthly with a few members of like our CRO and another member of the team, where we kind of talk about what problems are on their plate and how I can help them solve those problems. But additionally, um, what we're starting to incorporate is doing a better job of like, because I have my hands in the app side and the
Yeah.
editorial side, and trying to arm them with the information of like, what are we testing that we've seen really good success with? Um, and how they can incorporate that into what they do.
Right.
It's really weird when you're like the holder of all the information. It's very easy to be overwhelmed. And I'm like, oh my God, I really need to delegate this out or like do a better job of sharing this information on a wider scale,
Right.
um, to because I can't have this conversation with every individual person
Yeah.
repeatedly through the week. So that is definitely a work in progress. But we're as we test more and we get like really strong results on things, it makes it really easy to be excited to like throw it into a Slack channel, to let people know, um, and trying to coach people that I work with to not just like hear what we're sharing when we share results, but also be like, and how can I apply that to my learnings?
Right. Your evolution as a coach, you just referenced coaching there. How has that evolved over time, and what are some of the approaches that you go back to time and time again because it feels right and it's worked?
Yeah, so I find that I'm calling back to, um, here's the thing, usually, and I find a lot of people who have been working in like the startup space are normally the life cycle team is, at least in my experience, has never been that large.
Yeah.
Um, I've been an island of one many times, or, just me and like a couple other people.
Yeah.
Um, Meaning I've been a doer a lot. And right now I'm straddling between seeing the overall big picture, planning out what we want to do, but I'm also still getting my hands dirty a little bit. And
Right.
so when you flip-flop between being like the doer and the thinker, um, it's really hard to step back and see the big picture. And I've definitely picked up on that over the last couple of months that I'm like, okay, I need to really step back from doing and focus on growing this because it's hindering our success here a little bit,
Right.
which is why I had to go and like ask for support because I cannot put that all on the other person on my team, and we have enough work for another
Yeah.
body. Um, but what this means is, for me as a coach, I find that um, I have to fight against my natural instinct, which is efficiency, to sort of push, like try to delegate a little bit better. Meaning, if someone asks me a question on my team, like, what should I do here? I'm like, well, what would you do? And
Right.
let's work through that rather than my default is you do this, because I know the answer already.
Right.
I hated when my bosses did this to me, where they just asked me the question I asked them, but it was in the end, like when I look back and I'm like, yeah, okay, it makes sense. So I think that was
Interesting.
like one of the best things that I learned, even though I hated it. I still
Yeah.
hate it. But
No, that's interesting because you know you leave that person with something that they may not have otherwise been able to acquire. You know, it's like a lifelong lesson. Maybe
yeah,
it depends how profound it is or how big the task was. But I
yeah,
think that that's the approach. It's just finding your tonality and your. That's cool.
yeah. I also find that like the work that we do in our one-on-ones, i.e., like trying to have a vulnerable, conversation, and when someone new starts with me, um I sort of state my intentions as their boss with them. I don't know, is that
No,
like,
it's
I don't
great.
know, like I do it like not just with people on my
What
team,
if
but like people
to
I meet. I'm
unpack
like,
that? Like, what does it sound like? So imagine I just got hired. What would that
yeah,
sound like?
it's usually something along the lines of like, okay, here's how we clearly state the division of tasks on this team. Here are the things, the expectations of you in your role. Me as your boss, I'm here to support you, answer questions, here for you to bounce an idea off of me, here to listen if you are having conflict with anyone on the team or at home. My number one intention, or my number one goal here is for you to want to come to work every day, for you to want to work with everyone on this team, and for you to feel like you can talk to me about anything. Like and I literally use the word, I want you to feel safe here.
Yeah,
Um, I just, I don't know how to be subtle, so I just state very clearly
I think
what
more
my,
people could be like that. It would be nice.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's interesting and unique. Is that that would be the first conversation that you have, right? It's uh, I got to imagine like are people's responses to these conversations like, whoa, that's different, or
I don't know. You know what? I think for me, it just happens all the time that I don't pick up on if people are like, that's weird. Literally, like, even in my personal life, if I meet someone that I'm like, oh, that's cool, you're cool, I will literally state, I think you're a very interesting person. I think I'd like to hang out with you again. And they're like, they're like, yeah, that's strange. I'm like,
no, I like
but
that. That's cool.
it's true. And that's why I don't have problems making friends as an adult. Because I literally just, I'm like, learn from the kids. Kids are literally like just
That's
pure, and they don't think about all the other things that are clouding our minds.
oh yeah, no, I see that every day with my 4-year-old. It's just like I take a lesson out of her or a page out of her book.
Yeah,
So imagine Ivana that Ivana.
that's okay.
Imagine that you know you did get that bag of cash dropped on your doorstep and your department's doorstep. Like what budget not being an issue? What are some of the things you would do?
I would um I would spend the money to free up resources a little bit on I'll throw it a specific example.
Okay.
We have a very great team of engineers. They're so good at what they do. They build all these things. They're able to build it custom, and I think that's incredible. As a marketer who wants to test, it's a bit of a blocker, right? Because I then have to submit a request to
Right.
make changes to things because it's all custom built and I can't touch it.
Right.
And I'm like, if I had money, I would just buy these products so that, because these products are built for people like me, for people like you, to be able to go and fiddle around with things. Engineers
Right.
don't want to hear my ideas. Like they're like, no, I want to work on a more exciting project. I don't want to change the offer on something, which I get. That's valid.
Right.
That's not an exciting task for them.
Right.
So I
But
would swap.
you see those changes as being directly related to a the difference between somebody buying once and buying 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times.
Exactly.
Okay. So how do you deal with that frustration right now then where you see clearly, at least in your mind, what the answer is to increase the lifetime value, but there's the blockage.
Yeah. I try to find a creative solution to it. So say for example, I'm working through one of these, um, I don't want to call it a problem. It's not a problem. It's just
Sure. An opportunity.
it's an opportunity. So like many companies, your typical like transactional email. I don't want to use transactional emails because I'm going to talk about something promotional, but like your transactional type emails or notification emails usually go through a company like an ESP called like SendGrid or something,
Yeah.
right? Those aren't fiddled with very much, but like at a company like Tiny Beans, we use those to be like, someone liked this. Here's a roundup of everything that happened in the past week. Here's a flashback of what happened last year. And the reason I don't want to use transactional is because we also do look at like your subscription status within here. So they're
Right.
not fully transactional emails. But we also want to do things like called milestones. So like if someone has a first birthday coming up, your family members are all part of this community. And so we want to be like, oh, I'm looking at my dog. Dolly has her first birthday coming up. Here's a roundup of like photos over the last year. Here are some gifts that are ideal for a 1-year-old, and we can fill the support our affiliate
Yeah.
channels through that. We're not able right now to edit any of that because it's all coded in the background in an area I'm not allowed to touch. And so what I am doing is I was like, okay, well, let's figure out a way to do this a little bit differently. If I can shut those down in SendGrid, move those over into our ESP, we have the freedom to play around with this a bit more. Because right now they sit there's some broken images in there, and it's not a big enough problem to throw someone
Right.
off a much more important task like
Right.
changes to our app to fix this. But it
Yeah,
still
no,
creates a pretty
that's
awful
cool.
user
I mean,
experience.
it's one example, but what I'm really picking up from you is that you have a number of different reasons why you could throw your hands in the air and say, woe is me and whatever, I'll just do what I'm, but you're, I guess you care, at least it sounds like you care. And so you apply your sort of ingenuity and resourcefulness to being creative within the sandbox that's available
Yeah,
to you. And you just kind of live to fight another day, but you don't just sit there.
no. And that is what decades of therapy has done, right? Like the victim mindset is not going to get you anywhere. It's like, if you're not happy with something, figure out and do something different.
Yeah.
Because for lack of, I guess, a better phrase, like definition of a psycho is doing the same thing over and over
Yeah.
again, expecting a different result. So I'm like,
Yeah.
change my behavior and I change the result.
Do you see any of your team members, either currently or in the past, sort of follow suit with what you've
Hmm.
um demonstrated as it relates to that?
I mean, I want to say, yeah, I think so. We have there's someone we that I'm thinking of specifically. She doesn't report directly into me, but we like have a bit of a dotted line in that she's a member of the sales team. She is like really passionate about like permission-based channels. She gets it.
Yeah.
And so her and I chat a lot about how to influence behavior within your teams. And so I find with her, I often, share my personal experiences. I'm not in the meetings to see her actually do it, but when we do chat about it, I do feel like she's picking up on how to tackle these things.
Yeah.
She's also really great at sitting on a call. We literally have like 30-minute calls scheduled every few weeks with nothing other than to just talk about things. And through that come really good ideas. Like we had one a couple days ago where she was like, oh, I was on our website. I have a 1-year-old, like again, I'm just going 1-year-old. It's top of mind because this conversation happened,
Yeah.
but I'm just like, I had a 1-year-old's birthday. And so I went to the website to go see if we had any recommendations for gifts for a 1-year-old. And when I searched it on the site, I couldn't find anything. Don't you think it'd be a good opportunity for affiliates for SEO to build, to like write an article with just gifts like that? And I was like, that is a great idea. And so we like fed that to our shopping editor this week. And I'm like, that is great. The majority, like so much of the traffic that comes to our site is through SEO. And so like a bit of a missed opportunity for us until
Right.
like she brought it up. So
Interesting. I would imagine that you represent one of the reasons why she likes coming to work, those
I
those
hope so.
regular 30-minute meetings. So that's cool. When I learn about more about different approaches to leadership, there's so many different shapes and sizes that comes in, and sometimes it can be very subtle and simple, right? Just creating forum for people that are like-minded, that want to have a voice, to have you know to work together with someone to be creative and then push ideas through the organization. I think that is a good example of what that form of leadership looks like. So I think you should own that as well.
Thanks.
So, man, time flies. Like
It does, yeah.
I wish I was as cool as Joe Rogan. I could have 2.5 hour podcast, but what do you do right now to sort of keep yourself sharp and in tune? And do you contribute or I guess commit to any types of educational ongoing learning? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing. I mean, everything is online, but I live in Quebec. Everything is French here. I
Yeah.
am not that strong a French speaker. Why am I living here? Great question. I don't know. So finding things like communities here is a little bit more challenging than it would be when I was at home in Toronto. And because I'm on a bit of like a personal journey, what I find um, is actually more beneficial to me than say like a straight up doing a marketing course is taking the time to figure my stuff out, like sitting with myself, sitting with my thoughts, being creative, allowing myself the time to not think about my job actually, I think is making me better at my job.
For sure.
I found for a while there, so when I started this job, I was also freelancing. I think I had like 8 e-com clients that I was freelancing with. Um, and it meant that like I was working until midnight every single
Yeah.
night and I was burnt out. And just due to some changes in my life in February, I decided I was like, no, I need to um not do this anymore and just sit with myself a little bit. And I feel like I'm happier, I'm healthier. Um and I'm more excited about the work that I do because I just like I never turned my brain off.
Yeah.
I miss
That's
ecom. Don't get me wrong, like I miss working in ecom. It's so much fun. You can play a little bit more with like psychology because you're looking for like quick wins. Um, but right now, because my job is so different than what I'm used to, um, just doing my job is actually me learning a lot.
yeah.
My boss asked me a question a couple weeks ago of like what I want to do over the next year or two, and I'm like, you know what, this is gonna sound weird. I'm like, I'm not looking for promotion in the next year, which might sound like counterintuitive to what I do, but I'm like, my job is just so much different than anything I'm used to that I think I have a lot to learn in this position. I think I've done a really good job so far, but there's so much more that I can achieve in this role that I haven't, like I've only just scratched the surface of
That's cool.
what I can do here, which I think is like it feels weird to say that like I'm not looking for a promotion. I'll take more money.
Yeah.
But
No, that's cool. I think it's very clear that you want that personal conquest as you know as I don't know, as a way to kind of move into the next evolution of your life. And if you are robbed or taken away from that opportunity to master this area that you've committed yourself to, maybe that doesn't happen. So
yeah.
that's interesting. So I asked about what are you doing from like an educational learning standpoint, and you said I'm intentionally doing less and being more introspective, which is awesome because in this culture, in this fast-paced sort of like career escalation marketing game, it's like, well, what am I learning next? What podcast am I listening to? Where that is actually not needed at sometimes.
Yeah. There's just so much you can there's so much content out there that I feel like uh I'm I'm contented out. Like I find I'm deleting stuff off my phone because it's I'll use your word, like robbing me of my everyday lived experience.
Yeah,
I'm not connecting with people face to face like I used to. And I wasn't going outside, right? And like every day I start my day out outside for like 30-45 minute walk, and my day starts off great. It's
yeah.
nice.
Isn't that
It's so
great?
good. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks for sharing those examples and those experiences. It contributes very well to like I said before, the repository of content and different perspectives I'm trying to create, and people can pick and choose their thing and find themselves in your shared story. So
Yeah.
there's
The anti-hustle culture over here. You
oh,
can
I'm all
work
about
hard
I'm all
without
about the
me.
anti-hustle. I enjoyed getting to know you and chatting with you and learning from you. Uh, Went too quick, but I hope you enjoyed the experience as well.
Yeah, no, me talking about myself for 45
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah.
please.
Well, everyone, Ivana Simovic. Give
You
me the
got it.
proper. You said
Like
before.
the proper
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Croatian, Ivana Simovic. Did I
Yeah,
even say it right? Ivana
Simovic.
Simovic.
That's cool. Head
They're
of
gonna be
life
like, this girl doesn't
cycle.
even know how to say her name.
Head of life cycle marketing at Tiny Beans. Thank you very much. I wish you the
Thank
best
you. And
going forward.
congrats on your soon to be baby.
Yes, it's what is it today? May 11th. Couple of weeks away. So any day now.
Amazing. Good luck.
Thank you.
Nice chatting. See ya.